Hello there. Let's try let's try something unusual. Let's try something I've not done before. Let's try watching a whole fucking movie. I've reacted to anime episodes, I've reacted to animatics and YouTube things. Never done a whole fucking movie. But you know, first time for everything. This is probably going to be a very long video. So, K-pop Demon Hunters. What? Hermes? No. There we go. Had to let the cat in. K-pop Demon Hunters came out on Netflix not too long ago, and it's from, I believe, the same studio that did the Spider-Verse movies. I don't know if this, like, the same directors and things are involved, but it's the same studio. And initially, I wasn't interested very much. Initially, I sort of like, it just didn't seem like a thing that particularly appealed to me. In part because I don't really have any investment in K-pop as such. It's not really my scene. And in part because the character design style of the clips that were going around on the internet, right? Like the visual style is, okay, this is gorgeous, lots of pretty colors, but then all the characters are like, okay, that's... It looked at a immediate inspection fairly samey without like a lot of the interesting sort of pops and crackles that I am curious about, right? Like that get me excited for character design. So I was kind of like, just, okay, this is not my taste. I'm just going to leave it alone because I don't want to, I wouldn't want to make a video about it where I'm just sitting there being a fucking cranky pants the whole time and complaining about everything. That's for the main channel when I talk about League of Legends things. That's where I do that. For a reaction video, it's like, what's if you're gonna do a reaction video and it's just something that you hate the whole time, then why are you wasting your time on it, right? So I figured, okay. Eventually, I started seeing other clips going around, right? Like, K-pop Demon Hunter is like, okay, this is the Netflix original movie thing, whatever. There's a million of those a year. Who cares? But eventually, I started seeing people post about it, and people posting screenshots and like little clips and little things from it. Was like, oh, actually, there's a bunch of interesting character design happening in some places here. And then I started looking at it a little bit closer, and I was like, oh, okay, there's actually something to talk about there. So curious. All right. It sort of sparked my curiosity enough that I wanted to watch the movie, but then I could never really get myself to go, oh yeah, I'm going to sit down and watch this movie. Also, because of watching a movie with ADHD. I think I described this when I started this channel long ago. One of the reasons why I started doing anime reactions is because otherwise it can be kind of hard for me to sit through a whole episode of anything if I don't have something to do while I'm fucking trying to watch the damn thing. That's always been my problem with anime. Is like, unless I'm watching a dub, I can't use it as second screen content because I can't understand what anyone is fucking saying, so I can't play video games while I'm watching it, and that's annoying. Because that's what I do. That's how I concentrate on things, is by doing literally anything other than concentrating on the thing. So let's use the fact that I have a reaction channel as an excuse to do this then, and watch some K-pop Demon Hunters. Now, with a long intro, I should probably explain this right away. If you have not on YouTube been along to one of these before, I'm watching the movie, with my Discord. You can see them up there saying things which I'm sure are all age appropriate and content safe for YouTube and not breaking any kinds of terms of service. Otherwise, I will spank them. But you, here on YouTube, well, obviously I can't play the whole movie to you because of that would cause copyright problems. So what I'm going to do instead is the thing that I usually do with anime reactions, which is to say that I have a little screen here. You can see my mouse moving around on it. This is paused right now. Eventually, I'm going to unpause, and then it's going to look like that, which is, you can kind of see images of it a little bit in there, but you can't actually see what the hell is going on. This is intentional, and then every once in a while I will pause, and then you can see what's going on. You're going to go to Netflix yourself, or obtain a copy of the movie in some other way, I'm not here to judge, and you will have it there, and I shall keep in sync with you by announcing to you when we're going to play and when we're going to pause. This is like if we both had each our own laptop, and we were sitting next to each other on a couch, and then every once in a while I interrupt you and go, oh, I have to talk about this, so 3, 2, 1, pause, and then we both pause at the same time, and then when I'm done with my yapping, I'll say 3, 2, 1, go. We both go at the same time, and you have the timestamp up there in the upper left corner, and the thing with the subtitles here. That should be able to keep you in sync. And now that I look at it, actually, hang on. Is this a oh, it's a fucking widescreen. Okay, hang on. I have a thing for this, which is I duplicate that, and then I get rid of that, and then I take that, and then I set that to 0. Hey, there we go. Okay, cool. Just need to get the aspect ratio right. So, all the way back to nothing, right before like the Netflix logo is about to come up, and all together now, 3, 2, 1, go. But Sony Pictures Animation need to get themselves a better logo. Okay, we're already doing the limited frame rate animation thing. One thing I'm curious about is how the hell they justify the connection between K-pop and demon hunting. Okay, that's how they're gonna do it. Just like, whoop, gently pushing them down under the... Three, 2, 1, pause. Okay, cool, interesting. I mean, it's the kind of premise that you would expect from like a family movie with a kind of out there premise. But one thing I do note, like, because I had this initially on seeing like the clips and stuff that were released. Obviously, they're showing whatever happens to be prettiest in trailers and things, and so I didn't think that there was a lot of variety in the character design in this film. And then I started looking a little bit closer, and it's like, oh no, actually, like, obviously, given that we're doing the K-pop thing and we're operating in the aesthetic space of the K-pop world, there's a hard limit to how much variety there can really be in the characters, right? Because everyone has to be that level of conventionally attractive, that level of conventionally skinny, that like it all has to operate within the aesthetic framework of K-pop. And so it's not like we're looking at the world's greatest variety in like character and body type and eye shape and things like here, but there is some, right? It is present. You can see a clear distinction in the shape language between the three characters, the way that they're put together, especially character out here on the right. I don't actually know their names yet. Like, you can see that she has like a much longer face, right? That there's differences in the morphology of the way that the faces are put together that do actually create some variety within them. And this is one of the bugbears that I've, like, one of the drums that I've been beating for a very long time is like, even if your aesthetic objective is conventional beauty, right? Like, only conventional beauty, nothing else. That's the only thing we care about. Even if it's just about like sex appeal, fucking whatever, even within that very narrow stricture of like, it has to be this specifically conventionally attractive, you can still do more than just one thing, right? Like, there are still levers you can pull on. There are still things you can shift around a little bit in order to create some level of variety. And I do appreciate that that's present here. That we can do things with character morphology, that we can do things with like just even like the fucking slope of the shoulders a little bit. Like, there are little things that can be done. And I like it when media actually takes the time to do that. Obviously, personally, I am more interested when a character design space is wider than just conventional attractiveness. But even within that space, there is room. And I like that. I appreciate that. Same thing I saw with the. That was the thing about the movie, sort of more generally. When I looked at the crowd here, first of all, I appreciate the expressiveness. They seem to be taking, like, more than a little bit from the sort of facial expression style of older DreamWorks things. And, like, who was it that did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs? Hotel Transylvania? Like, those, like, their approach to expressiveness in 3D characters. Because, like, this is something I like that is quite distinct. Very Mitchell's versus the Machine also, yes. Like, this is a way of approaching expressiveness on 3D characters that I like, which is quite distinct from the way, for example, that Disney handles it. By the way, are you noticing how the crowd is animated on differential animation timings? And, like, even though it's a 3D movie, these characters are animated on twos? Isn't that fun? Again, this is like similar techniques to what we've seen done in something like Spider-Verse. I wouldn't say, like, again, there's a tendency that happens sometimes because Spider-Verse, those movies are so fucking, like, monumental in establishing a sort of like a cultural space for this kind of limited frame rate 3D animation style. People say, "Oh, it's like Spider-Verse. It's like Spider-Verse." No. It's like a lot of different kinds of animation. Fundamentally, what Spider-Verse was doing in a lot of the things that it was doing, it was emulating animation tricks and things that had been developed for stop motion animation, which is also often a limited frame rate animation style because it's like you're taking physical pictures of actual models that you're moving around. So it's not Spider-Verse didn't invent this style, but certainly is tremendously influential in the way that it's put together. A little bit of Coyote time on the character there. But anyway, the thing I wanted to say about the crowd is, like, even here in the crowd again, like, looking at the way that the crowds are character designed. Because, like, K-pop Demon Hunters, from what I've seen, there's a lot of anime inspiration in there, right? Like, there's the, like, the general East Asian pop culture art styles are there. But one thing I appreciate that it avoids, these aren't just crowds of generic whoever, right? These are crowds of people who look like people, right? Like, these are crowds of people who look like they are specific human beings and not just like the sort of the standard anime thing, that the thing that you do with a big crowd is like, oh yeah, here's like the 400 replicated versions of the same 3D character model with a gray filter over it so you can't see anything, and oh, it's just a crowd. And I do like that there's time and attention spent on the part of the animators building these crowds, that, like, they have clearly modeled a fuck of a lot of distinct, and, like, you look at the background, you can see a bunch of duplications happening, right? Like, things like that, but there is definitely attention paid to making these people feel like people and injecting some variety in the shape and, like, the construction of the way their faces are put together. And also just look at that use of differential animation timing, which makes it so even though everything's just moving on twos and it's a 3D movie, it still looks really good. Ah, that's cool. Anyway, let's resume. 3, 2, 1, go. Also, not for nothing, I have to imagine Riot Games are kicking themselves in the dick, just, like, over and over and over again, that Sony stole this one out from under them. 3, 2, 1. Pause. Here again, because this is some of the stuff that I didn't really feel like I saw in the marketing, but when the clips started coming out on social media, that's when we started to see, okay, we're fucking doing some model breaking here with these characters. And again, this is something I very much appreciate. Because once again, like, when you are working in character design within the stricture of like maximal attractiveness, like, we're optimizing for attractiveness and for conventional beauty, we're optimizing for like that thing. There's such a reluctance that often happens, especially in 3D animation, but like especially also in like in anime, in many things. There's such a reluctance to break character model, right? Like, there's such a reluctance to deform. There's such a reluctance to fuck around with proportion or in any way, shape, or form, like, ever make the character ugly. Right, like there's this deep primal fear of ever allowing for a moment where the character is ugly. This is something like, this is one of the things that especially annoys me about certain of the 3D Disney movies is like where's the fucking cartooning at, honestly? And that's like, and that's not just 3D Disney movies. This goes back like a long way. You can see the same thing if you look back at like look fucking Snow White. Let's take Snow White, like the very, very first Disney movie. Snow White and the Prince. They are like they are heavily rotoscoped characters. Like, they're essentially performance captured by hand by the animators in the studio for a lot of what they do, and they never really get to deform. They never really get to look ugly. And that's part of why there's such a vibe difference in the feeling between Snow White and the dwarves, is because, well, they are animated from completely different principles, right? Like, it's Snow White herself is created so much from performance capture, from like referencing and rotoscoping around the actual performance by the actress, that she never matches the level of distortion that all of the like fully animated characters get, right? And like the fully animated characters, like the dwarves and like the queen when she's in her like witch form and all that, they are also made from reference, right? Like, people, like, that's going all the way back, as animators would perform the scenes and like either take photos or look at it, and like they would use real movements as inspiration. I think you can already find clips of that, by the way, from the animators at Sony, showing the clips they recorded of themselves to help inspire and help ground the motion and movement that they wanted, the performances that they wanted in the scenes. But there's a difference between taking that kind of reference imagery versus doing performance capture, like where you are just like rotoscoping an actual thing. And here, I immediately appreciate a lot the extent to which, in a moment when the characters like when the characters have this emotional explosion around like wanting to just pig out on a bunch of fucking food, you can see that like the perfect proportions of their regular faces, right? Like, even here when she's like opening her eyes more, like, she gets to have a couple of wrinkles in her perfect forehead. Isn't that nice? And like here, these deliberate decisions when they're yelling to like decenter their eye lines so that they're not focusing on anything, that gives them that slightly like silly vacant look in their eyes. I appreciate that a lot, because it's distressingly and genuinely quite rare, and very annoyingly rare. It's something that I miss a lot in a lot of 3D animated features, is like, fuck around with it. Like, you have a 3D doll that you can play with. Being unwilling to really break model, sometimes it's stifling. Another thing, by the way, you notice how much this looks like clay? Like, how much this looks like tilt shifted, like if you were actually filming up close and doing stop motion animation. Just the way that they're rendering like the glow, like the reflections and things off of, they look a little bit like clay, they look a little bit like plastic, they look a little bit like models. That's clearly a specific aesthetic choice that they're making about like the ways that a lot of the things in this movie look, and I like it. Also, squash and stretch. Again, willingness to, like, look at that fucking hand. Willingness to break the model. Willingness to fuck around with it a little bit. To use the creative capabilities of animation and give up on this idea of like maintaining model perfection. One thing I really appreciate is like noses. Another one of my own personal bugbears is especially with female characters in character design, there is such a abject horror of the concept of a female character having a nose, right? Like fucking Frozen, Disney, like the post Frozen sort of post tangled animation style of Disney. There's so much of like you have this landing strip and this little nubbin that just sits at the end of the face, but there is no nose. There's no bridge of the nose. There's no structure from the nose that influences the way the face is put together. Not that this like these character designs are nose forward, but I can see a structural difference in what their noses look like, and the animators aren't afraid to use the animation to emphasize the nose as part of expression, right? Like flaring nostrils, like they're pigging out on food. They sort of do these little like flared nostril piggy faces. I appreciate that, like a willingness to fuck around with it. Like, yes, thank you. Like, because even if you want to have the most beautiful character in the world, the most gorgeous, the most being able and willing to play with them like the dolls that they really are, like these 3D rigs and models. That's just fun. That's just joyful. I just appreciate that. And it's rare. Like this, it shouldn't be as rare as this. That I get like sort of hyped into watching a movie I had no interest in just because I saw some clips of the characters having expressiveness that I don't usually get to see. Anyway, let's watch some more of the movie. 3, 2, 1, go. Why is she pouring coffee in the flour? I really like the little flop on the flour there. That was nice. Ah, they're demons. They don't understand human things. Oh, I hate to interrupt a song, but 3, 2, 1, pause. I hate to interrupt a song, but I need. Hang on. I saw. Yes, some fucking doubling. Look at that shit. Ah, wonderful. I knew I saw some of that. Classic animation trick, right? Like, you can animate the character themselves, like her actual body, the things that she's actually doing with the shoulders and muscles and things like that. She's not really moving that fast. You can see she's she's punching rapidly, but it's not like supernatural. But we give it that like level of like, we give it that level of just by doubling, just by having more things appear simultaneously in the same frame, and you get that effect, right? Very effective and very pleasant to see. another thing to note about the frame rates here, right, is you can see that they're being used differently. Right? You can see here, for example, there's a hold where she stays in the air, everything else moves. So like there's this careful consideration of moving things on ones and twos, inserting holds into the animation, depending on the vibe and feeling you want. Because she's moving so slowly, like she's just kind of strolling confidently, we're doing her on ones, right? Because we want to have that fluidity of her motion preserved, because that's where that confidence and that like MK walking thing that she's doing is coming from. 3, 2, 1, go. I do wonder, how are they going to land a plane at a concert? I don't think there was a runway at that stadium, was there? I'm sure someone must have noticed. So it's not a secret that they're doing this. It's an interesting aesthetic use. I'm sorry to talk over the song. There's an interesting aesthetic use also, and this is something I can't really speak to. I'm not really a music production kind of guy. There's a lot of use of auto-tune. Like, not, and that I don't mean that as a derogatory, but like pitch adjustment and like the specific vibes and feels of auto-tuning are present in the music. Clearly as deliberate choices, which again, like, I think that's part of the music aesthetic of K-pop also. Because it's not like that lady could definitely belt. Like, you could hear that from the performance. So it's not like it's, oh, this person can't sing, we're compensating with the whatever. I wish I knew more about Korean East Asian folklore so that I would understand the designs of the monsters better. Boy, that Demon King really is out of touch if he doesn't understand how that could work. Ooh, some complexity to the villain, some inner darkness, and some pain and trauma. Also, clearly something's gonna fuck up the lead lady's voice. It would have been very funny if they put KDA on the phone screen there at the bottom of the chart. That would have been very funny. They have a color-coordinated sleepover room in their fucking penthouse? Okay, cool. That's wonderful. Wait. Hang on. Wait. 3, 2, 1. Pause. Hang on. No, fuck you. No fucking way. Hang on. Hold the phone. The song is called Golden, and you wear white and gold. You wear prestige skins! They wear prestige skins! Jesus Christ! Oh my god. Oh no. Oh fuck off. I swear to fuck. Some entertainment journalist needs to get on this. They need to get in there and they need to talk to, like, fucking give them anonymity, protect their identity, move them to another country, give them a new life. I don't care. Find out for me whether or not this movie was, number one, originally a pitch for a KDA movie that Riot then passed on for some ungodly reason, or number two, whether this was greenlit right at the aftermath of the success of KDA, and specifically it was, like, meant to cap it. Because, like, I cannot... The level to which this fucking movie is already eating Riot Games' lunch, like, all of this is like, this is what, like, so much of this is like, this is what Riot should obviously have done with KDA. Like, they should have done this. Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they get there first? How didn't they get there first? How on earth is it possible that they didn't get to this first? Jesus. Which is where, okay, this is not, like, I also don't want to overstate, right? Like, Kpop Demon Hunters, it's not like Riot didn't invent the idea of, like, a fictional K-pop superband, like, whatever. Like, they were reacting to trends that exist within K-pop already, right? Like, it's not like, oh, KDA came first, therefore it is the source of everything. It's just... like, we forget sometimes that KDA was, like, genuinely, for real, actually big, right? Like, not just, oh, an entertainment company put out, like, it was an actual top charting single with pop stars, right? It was an act. It was actually a thing. And it's just so funny that this comes out later. And honestly, I'm not sitting here saying, oh, it must have 100% been like, if not for KDA, they would never have made this movie. It's like, who knows? Who knows how this works? Like, animated movies like this, they can be pitched for like a decade. Someone could have been working on this script for like 15 years, right? And been trying to pitch it to animation studios, or it could have been something that Sony optioned like 10 years ago. And what could have happened is that they had this thing on the back burner, this project that they were half developing that was already called K-pop Demon Hunters or whatever. And then KDA comes out and it's like, it sort of demonstrates, oh, there's actually a appetite for this kind of thing as a media thing, and that's when Sony goes, okay, you can develop this beyond the pitch, beyond the storyboard. We'll let you do a quick slice of a thing to pitch to investors for like it could have been that KDA just like opened the door for this project which was already there like to come into actual fruition. So I don't want to sit here and credit this whole movie to KDA because that's usually not how these things work. It's just they're prestige skins. That's prestige skins. They wear prestige skins for the big. I cannot imagine how hard Riot Games are kicking themselves in the dicks over this, right? Because one thing about KDA, by the way, Riot didn't want to make it. This is one of the things. Like, I think like there's a number of people who pitched KDA internally at Riot. One of them was Stellari, who eventually left the company because she was getting harassed so fucking much by the fan base. Story of Rioters. But Riot didn't want to make KDA. Like Stellari and like her collaborators and then a bunch of other people on the team that were pitching KDA, they had to fight. Like they had to fight like motherfuckers to get Riot to greenlight even the concept of KDA because there was a lot of internal resistance at the company. Like, oh, K-pop, who cares about that? Our players are not going to be interested. That's never going to go anywhere. Like we don't have the data that says that that's a viable market strategy thing. But like they had to fight for it, and then it blew up and became the most popular thing in the world. And the executives lined up around the block to start to take credit for it, right? But like that was not a thing that Riot was like, oh yeah, this is a cool new idea that we have and we're going to push. No. This was a team of passionate people internally at Riot who had to fight like devils to get that shit across the finish line and put their careers on the line to even make it happen. So keep that in mind when you think about KDA and its legacy as well. But let's watch the actual movie. 3, 2, 1, go. So I see the shape of the narrative here, right? Like, which is like our main girl is impatient. She's pushing herself too hard. She's gonna burn out her voice, probably, since that's what the central crux is. Like their voice is their power. That's gonna get fucked up for her. Then this evil boy band is gonna come along. There's gonna be something about her learning to go gentler on herself. Oh, well, that's patterns, which were the signifier of being demonic in some way, were they? Okay, so the markings must be like the chest, arms, or else hidden with makeup, I guess. Having difficulty hitting a high note like that is normal, by the way. Like, it happens to everyone. That's not necessarily a sign that you're like, your skills are faltering. I love a Gilligan cut. It's like a thing about she doesn't feel like she has an identity outside of being a hunter. And if she can't sing, if she can't do that, then who is she and what's she supposed to be? It's her connection to her mother, by the looks of it. I'm sorry for crisp and potato snacking the whole movie. I just can't help it. Oh, wait, is the demon boy either her brother or her father, or something like that? Okay, so it's secret that she's keeping thing. Yeah, which is why the impatience, obviously. Sure, she sees this sign that the world she's about to turn it gold and she cannot fucking wait, and then I mean, what if it's not you don't have to what if it's not you who has to fix the world? It also suggests that there's a false dichotomy between humans and demons, right? And there's a suggestion that the demons themselves are oppressed by their king. I wonder if that's something that they're gonna play around towards. Seems like a toxic way to live. Why are there only ever 3 of them? That seems like if you could make like a backup team or something, that seems like that would be a smart thing to do. Here they come. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Pause. God, there's so many little things in the animation. Like, there's such a lovely snappiness to the way that a lot of the motion is handled. Where was that thing? Right. Here, like, down that alleyway. Look at the walk cycle on her. The bounce in it. Right? Anticipation, pop, lots of squash and stretch. And then as she's walking down, it's not like she's turning and walking naturally like a person might do. She does like a... She does this like that very, very bouncy thing. There's a lot of personality to that. Again, differential timing. It's one of the littlest tricks in animation, but I love it because it reveals so much of the magic, right? Another thing, by the way, when you watch like background reels, and like behind the scenes material for like various animated movies, 3D animated movies especially, something that animators in like the production preparation phase for a project like that, something they'll spend a lot of time on is just doing like object work sketches and walk cycle sketches for various characters that are going to be in the story, where they'll take a lot of time trying out like different styles of motion, different styles of movement for each character, so that the way that they move through the world, and this is like on high budget productions, not necessarily on anything, but so that the way that they move through the world is like concordant with the personality that they're supposed to have. And you can really see that little thing in something like this, right? The different pace in their steps, because like she has like legs that go fucking all the way up to her shoulders, also wearing high-waisted pants on top of that, right? The difference in the way they place their feet, the difference in the way that they, like the amount of bobbing up and down motion, and like that we have like, keep forgetting names because I'm bad at internalizing names. Our main character who feels very vulnerable, right? Like very sort of like damaged and trying to protect herself from the world. So she has like shoulders down, hunched kind of thing. And it affects her walk cycle. And it's like, it's just very effective animation. It really is. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. Please don't subtitle something with speaks Korean. The point of subtitles is to translate it. Or else, at the very least, write it out in a way that we can read it. I very much like the way they do his eyes. Wait, sorry, I have to see that. 3, 2, 1, pause. No, because that was I have to see that. That looked cool. Oh, that's fully on some Tom and Jerry shit right there. Look at that. Like I said, I really like the way they use the eyes with this guy. That they fully just transition away from it's One Piece-ish, actually. But that they fully transition out of, like, that's the thing I'm talking about with model breaking, right? Like the shit you can do when you don't constrain yourself. And the little anime speed lines I appreciate, of course, also. Oh, that rules. That's so cool. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah. People pleasing, huh? Oh, there's some fucking character design happening here. Butter to her eyes. Okay, nice use of visual metaphor. Sorry for pausing out of nowhere there. Just okay, not her dad then. Not her dad or her brother. That's not gonna be the thing. Just taking that theory, just pulling that out, putting it back in a little jar on the shelf where we can't reach it. Putting that away now. That's not gonna be the thing. Okay, that's not it. That's not it. I was wrong. Very wrong. Probably there's something connection in them thematically, but okay. Not that one. Sorry for pausing out of nowhere. You have the timestamp. You can hopefully sync back up with me. So, some character design is happening here. And it's a bit interesting because, like, this feels very, again, like, I am not familiar with, like, the trends of K-pop. I don't know what the aesthetics of K-pop boy bands look like right now. Like, what are the ones where everyone's scared of their stands? BB some, I can't remember, but like what are they wearing nowadays? Is it this? Because at least on initial inspection for me, all of this reads, well, it's sort of all the fuck over the place, honestly. Some of it is very 90s, some of it has a little bit of sort of like that guy with the fucking shirt and like the tight jeans, that's very sort of sweaty Miami 1980s kind of vibe. So, like, where exactly these guys are pulling their aesthetics from, I don't know. It's a peculiar mixture, though. The hair, especially, is being used interestingly with these guys. I have a weakness, personally, for characters where they have the thick bangs that hang down in front of their eyes, because of the thing I've talked about a million times, right? The way that giving and denying access to the eyes of a character denies you a lot of access to their emotional state, right? Like what are they feeling? How are they looking at things? How are they seeing things? When you don't see their eyes, you deny people a lot of access to that, and using that deliberately in a character design is a very fun way to sort of play with like access to the person's interior emotional state. And again, even within the strictures of these are all supposed to be like the hottest hunks of hotness that ever hunked around, there is still some difference, like in the morphology, in the shape of the face that they're working with, in the cut of the cheekbones and so on. It's not just the same guy copy pasted 4 times. There is real difference in the way that they're constructed and put together, and I do like that. That's not as rare with male characters as it is with female characters, obviously, but it is something I do appreciate. Hey, difference in eyebrows as well. That's nice. Oh, that's nice. Like a little, you can see the little deformation and settling. That's a very funny gimmick, that, by the way. Like, that the popcorns pop out into her hat and then they're actually eating them. That's a nice bit of surrealism as well. That's another thing. Like, in animation, you can do so much with symbolic surrealism, which is what this is, right? Like, this is an entirely surreal scene whose function is something that's not remotely realistic, nothing that you can actually do as a person, but it emphasizes the emotional state of the characters. This is something animation can do better than almost any other medium, and a lot of 3D animation just doesn't take advantage of it enough, I don't think. I do note that among this rather colorful batch of characters, right, these dudes are sort of all over the place. Very little color coordination between them, except that pink seems to be a recurring motif, but they're kind of all the fuck over the place, right? And then Captain Hot Guy here comes along, and want to see the rest of his costume, but looks substantially more conventionally sort of middle of the road than the rest of them, I think. But again, I don't know K-pop aesthetics. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, he's shoulder checking her. That's the fucking meet cute? He's shoulder checking her? And then he's catching the things that he himself threw into the air. Is that what we're going to do? Or not? I don't know if I would classify it as a meet cute when you're the fucking dude. Okay, good. A lot of hunger and consumption in the lyrics there. Can't understand the Korean, obviously, but yeah, a lot of hunger and consumption there in the lyrics. It very much is. It's because the melody is structured around like la da 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 la da 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 da, which is like a very I think that'll probably be bad for your image, girls. Good luck. Are they doing fucking hot? Why is that man in a? Why are they all in baby costumes? Huh? Again, don't really know the context. Clever man. Oh no. In the balls. Oh no. Oh no. Fart noises. Could use a few more fight scenes though. Very good. Okay. I like that they add a little bit of silliness to him. Now that's a meet cute. Now, isn't that interesting? Oh dear. Gilligan cut. Gilligan cut. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Is it wearing a little hat? Oh, that's cool. Is that the fucking Dream Tiger? Not quite, but it's certainly a similar-ish design. Oh, I like the slowness. Very good. I like the deliberate slowness that it moves with. Oh, I fucking love those character designs. Holy shit. The little fucking hat is such a good touch. Because, like, the triple I demon bird thing, that would work on its own. The little hat really completes it. Yeah, look at how slow and deliberate the tiger's motions are. The way they animate it. It's cute. Come on. Toxic, toxic dynamic. An embodiment. Okay, interesting. Right, so what is Gima then? That she couldn't save her mother? Is that what it is? Okay, she does have a head on her shoulders. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. So now we have an idea of what the big bad is, right? Like the fundamental nature of the thing. And this is where, so again, not an expert on K-pop. I don't want to speak too far out of fucking turn, but it's reasonably well known that the K-pop industry is hell on earth. It's bad. It's a bad time to be an aspiring K-pop star of any kind, of trying to make it in that specific section of the South Korean music industry, right? It's a tough gig at the best of times, and it's like driving people to like extreme misery, suicide, and this is where we get back to those beauty standards, right? Because the way that people in like, and this is universal across all music industries, it's not a South Korean unique problem, but the way that like the stories that have been told about the ways that girl group members in like Japan, South Korea, China, the pressure they face to maintain an absolutely impossible level of thinness on top of physical fitness, it's whew, it's rough. Like it is very abusive at times. I don't know, like maybe things have changed since the last time I read any articles about this. Again, I don't want to speak out of turn, but it's grim, right? Like the level of work culture, like crunch culture, sort of grind set nonsense that is imposed on people who work in that industry. And a lot of it is, to my understanding, buoyed up by like an intense sort of social culture of shame around the inability to perform, right? So it's interesting to me that Gima, in the concept of this narrative, seems to embody like the controlling power of shame to push someone to sacrifice themselves and hurt themselves in order to achieve some kind of goal, which is born out of a desire. Like, as he puts it, Jinu, he took the deal, whatever the deal was with Gima, he took that to protect his family, but that, like, that was already born out of shame, right? Like, I cannot provide for them, I cannot be a good enough man, I cannot... And then in the aftermath of, like, having consumed himself, essentially, like, sacrificed himself to give them a better life, now he's consumed with shame of, like, not, like, of being taken, like, of being condemned to the demon world. It's this self-reinforcing cycle, right? Like, where you do everything within your power to achieve something, and then when circumstances outside of your control cause you to fail anyway, well, you reinforce the shame on yourself. And, like, that's interesting on a conceptual level. I don't know that it's meant to be any kind of a direct critique of the K-pop industry, but it is definitely, like, the thing with her voice, right? Like, it's essentially a kind of creative burnout for her, right? Like, she has this creative thing that she does. She's a musician. She has this passion she pursues. It's all she is. It's all she has. It's everything she can do. Now this thing is intruding on her, taking away her ability to perform to the level that she needs to do in order to achieve the thing that she wants. And then there's shame, right? Like, deep, intense shame about having the patterns. It's also, I can't help but feel that way in terms of, like, the way that her mother figure is very, very specific. Like, hide it. Don't show anyone. Like, if you have a weakness, you have a flaw. And that was something they also spoke about, like, when they were imitating Celestine, right? Like, the other two is like, oh, the flaws of a hunter must never be seen, right? The flaws, the problems, the issues must never be made visible to the public, which is, again, that very specific thing about, like, public face versus private person. Which I think, again, don't want to speak out of turn. I think that interacts with, like concept of social shame and, like, the keeping of face as it exists, certainly within the K-pop industry, maybe also within South Korean society. It feels like there's a lot there that I don't know that I can entirely parse out without doing some fucking reading on it, but that's an interesting concept to go for. The question I'm wondering is, how do they resolve that then? Because if it is a critique of, like, using, like, deep social shame to control people into being maximally productive for capitalism, but, like, maximally productive as citizens of the nation or whatever, then at some point that has to be rejected, right? That's the thing I'm wondering about. I think the thing I'm trying to get at, what I'm wondering right now about this movie is whether it's going to land on the side of K-pop is awesome, actually, and there's some problems, yeah, sure, but it's a great thing, and it doesn't really need to change. We just have to get rid of Gima, who's the bad one, and then the K-pop industry can just keep rolling, no problem. Or if it's going to have an actual critical perspective on the industry of K-pop as a whole. I wonder about that, because the vibe of the movie so far feels like it's going to end up in a place where it just affirms the whole thing, and is not willing to critique its own premise. And that's pretty normal for movies. It's just, I'm curious about where it's going with this idea of Gima, of shame, as, like, this thing that controls people into being their worst selves. I'm curious about that. And I'm wondering how Gino is going to break free of it then. Because that's what they're setting up for, at the very least. Is that Gino at some point is going to have to take a turn against his own shame in order to break free of the control of the thing. Because that was the thing he was asking for. Like, he was asking for an end to his shame by saying, I want the memories released. Like, I want to get rid of the memories so that I don't have to feel this shame anymore. That seems to be his gambit for freedom, right? Like if I don't remember my family anymore, then I can't feel ashamed about it, and then I'll be free. I wonder. I'm curious. Like it's also entirely possible that like he's at the end of the film, he's gonna. It depends. Like if they want to actually make a break at the end, or if they just want to set up for a sequel bait, because then I would imagine Genu just becomes the new Demon Lord and continues on as he was. I don't know. We'll see. 3, 2, 1, go. Hmm. I like that tiger so much. With no feelings, you say? Join the pride. Join the pride, huh? As opposed to shame, yeah. Guess who it is? No, it's not. The world's most adorable child. And he's more reluctant to let go. There we go. Soul. Oh my god, it's a Deltarune crossover. Yeah. The suggestion here being, I love that the tiger's just there. The suggestion being that the solution isn't to hate him, but like to extend empathy, love, care as an antidote to shame, I suppose. Zzz. Fucking love that tiger. Like, just the deliberateness with which they move. How long have they been together? Like, keeping something from her for a hot minute. Yeah. I love the hair textures on those models. Hang on. Ah, South Korea has about 50 million people in it. Just had to Google that real quick. Good. There it is. Ah, yeah. Yeah, funny. There could be pretty good chemistry between these two, but it's sort of rushing it a little bit, I feel. People pleaser. Again, difficult time believing that a manager in the K-pop industry would be that supportive and nice. Oops. Oh! Was that like a physics simulation thing, or did they... Well, cause it's awesome? So it's like a half hour to go still in this movie. Yeah, they're rushing it a little bit. Understandable. They only have the one movie, but someone in chat says this would have been better as a series. Yeah, like they're juggling a lot of things, and especially like the relationship between those two feels like it would benefit from slow burn a little bit. But the nature of a movie like this is like you only have the 90 minutes, right? The potential is there. Yes, it is. Because like everything in the concept makes for a really strong sort of enemies to lover, toxic, will they, won't they dynamic. It it's just that kind of dynamic needs a little more time. Because ultimately, like, it's not really an enemies to lover thing because they never had time to really be enemies, right? A good enemies to lovers dynamic has to have people making transgressions against each other that have to be, you know, resolved in some way. And that's not real. That there just isn't space for that in this movie. It seems like. Because like the dynamic is solid, right? They each see in each other a chance at freedom, right? Like, and that's a powerful attraction. There's also very little of Ginu sort of emotionally developing over the course of the movie. It's all sort of given to her. There's definitely potential in it though. Like I'm what I'm seeing here is just like I want more scenes of them getting to circle each other, right? Turn around. I fucking love that tiger so much. It's so cool. Like there's so many good choices being made with the way it animates, especially the eyes. do love the structure of her face. Okay. So this scene, all right, 3, 2, 1, pause. So that's a Netflix scene. That whole scene, that's a Netflix scene. What I mean by that is Netflix has a creative directive that's present in everything that they do. Which is the audience should always be able to watch everything on the Netflix service as second screen content. And what that means is you should be able to follow the plot of the movie without looking at the screen. You should be able to just listen, and then you and it should always be a thing of you shouldn't feel like you have to pay too close attention in order to understand what the movie is doing or what it's saying, right? And so a lot of Netflix original content, if you pay attention, it will be very, especially in the dialogue, it'll be very this is what is happening in the movie, and these are the themes, and these are the stakes of the scene that is about to happen. And we are going to say the things that we feel out loud so that people can hear it. And then, and that's this scene. This is a Netflix scene. This is as someone who wasn't quite paying attention. We need to get everyone up to speed for the climax. That's what this scene is, right? Because everything they just said, the whole content of the dialogue that happened here already, that was already there. That was in the visual language. That was in the music, the scene setting, the cinematography, the animation, everything else about the show, the movie has already told us all of these things. And then we have this scene where it's right, yeah, but what if someone wasn't paying it? What if someone was on their phone for a bit, tweeting about how cool they think the movie are? What if someone was I don't know, was playing a video game or whatever? We need to have a scene where we restate everything in plain language and fuck subtlety, get people up to speed so that they don't disengage, right? That's this kind of scene. It's not exclusive to Netflix. Like plenty of things that are not on Netflix do it as well, right? And it also depends on the target audience, right? Because if the audience is children, and this, I would say this is targeting relative, teens and preteens are probably the target audience here. There can be some value in, if you want to make sure that what the thing is saying gets across. Sometimes you want to have an Aesop drop, right? You want to have the anvil. And so it's not that it's necessarily bad to have a scene that states the themes of the thing in plain language. It's just, it feels like the whole rest of the movie is working really, really hard to make sure that you don't have to state things in explicit language, right? Because there's so much cinematography, there's so much animation, everything that happened so far is, I feel, very, very clear and didn't need restating. But they do it anyway, and that to me feels a lot like a Netflix scene, right? And that's sort of, it's kind of the same thing with Rumi and Jinu. Rumi, Mir. I keep mixing their names up. The love connection between the two of them, it's definitely clear, right? The dynamic is there. It's strong. It's very easy to tap into and feel excited by. And then the narrative gets kind of blunt with it in a way that I feel undercuts, because the thrill of the romance scene, right? Especially when it's a will they, won't they, enemies to lovers kind of vibe. It's all the shit that's unsaid, right? It's all of someone's just about to say something, or they want to say something, but they feel like they can't, and they're holding those feelings back. That's the emotional spice of that kind of a dynamic, which I feel again, because the movie is kind of blunt about what it's doing, it feels a bit absent at times, which is and again, God only knows. God knows what was left on the cutting room floor. Once the Netflix sort of creative teams came in and gave feedback and told, hey, cut this scene, leave that scene out, rewrite this, change that. Like, who knows what the movie was before Netflix like added their concerns as interested stakeholders to. Who knows? It certainly, to me so far, feels like there was a movie that was trying to be a lot more, not subtle necessarily, but was trying to be a lot less bluntly stated. And then there are parts of the movie that feel like there was a directive or some feedback at some point, maybe some audience, like data, test audience gathering thing, where it's like, oh yeah, the audience said they didn't quite feel like they understood the thing at this point, so please, like, who knows? But it feels like there's a little bit of a dissonance between what the visuals are trying to do at times versus what the dialogue is doing with the characters. But that's vibes so far. But this scene in specific, I would say it's a pretty bad scene, because it's just the characters sitting down, bluntly stating their interior motivations rather than demonstrating them through action. And that's a little, I find that a little boring in narrative, because it leaves me with nothing to do. I don't have to interpret, I don't have to feel anything. I can just be told what is there, and then I don't have to, like, it tells me to not engage with the media. Like, me personally, I feel disengaged. I feel like I'm being told to disengage when I get something like this, because it just states the thing in plain language without the artistry or the ambiguity that comes with both real life but also with great art. I should have some water. Oh my god, water is so good. Anyway, let's watch some more of the movie. 3, 2, 1, go. There's something in the thing of, oh, that's funny. There's something interesting in the way the focus is on the fans, right? That's another one. That's another thing that the movie never seems to really question, is whether the influence, like whether the sort of deep hyper focus on the fans can be a toxic thing. Like, there's no stand. Like, I note that in this movie about K-pop, there are no toxic stands to be found anywhere, right? Like, there's no death threats on social media. And it certainly feels like when there's so much of like demons and like negative emotions and shame and things like that, I don't know, bringing in the part of the fandom culture that's less than good feels like it might have been a place to go with it, right? If nothing else, like the Saja boys, it might have been interesting, like that they're the ones who activate the toxic fan base and like turn it against Huntrix. Like, there seems like there could be something interesting to do with it there. And again, I don't know enough about K-pop, but like, it feels like you kind of can't divorce it from the toxic stan culture entirely, Because you certainly can't divorce American pop from it. Oh, the fucking ring! I know it's not a thing that... I just can't help but be like, oh, okay. We're eating True Damage's lunch as well now, are we? I know it's just a stagecraft thing, I know. I guess he found a way in, didn't he? Ooh. Okay, 3, 2, 1, pause. Sorry, I know this is completely, like... It's the all is lost moment, and I'm interrupting it, but... Is... Okay, so either that is... They fucking didn't, right? Either that is some of the best sort of tilt-shift physical rendering I've ever... I mean, yeah, it is, but damn, that's really, really, really good. I wonder if they used, like, recordings of miniatures to... There's something about... I'm sorry, this is just me getting into the weeds of this, but... Those spark pops... Like, there's a fucking VFX artist somewhere who deserves a fucking raise for the way that they managed to capture this kind of sparking in... Like, in a camera lens? I full-on thought this was miniature splicing. Yeah, like, me too. I saw that and I was like, that feels like they took footage of actual miniatures and just spliced that into the movie. And I honestly can't tell. I honestly can't tell for this shot if that's what they did. This one feels like... maybe less like it. I want to see some behind the scenes about this, because it's not like the glass explosions are realistic exactly. Like, that they feel... Right, like here, the way that it goes from being, like, that feels decided, but it's from fucking... It's also just the love with which these fucking camera models were crafted. This is not just someone make a vague, like, well, not camera, light. This is not just someone making, like, a vague sort of, oh yeah, this is just a 3 mil for, like, one shot that's going to be on screen for, like, a quarter of a second. Like, some motherfucker building these little things went in and did, like the sort of backstage scribbling that you do get on like lighting rigs. You can see like the bits of tape all over it, like the wear and tear on these little models. It's like, that's to spend that much time making such bespoke stage light models for this shot is like, that's really, really impressive. For just this one shot, right? Presumably these are not gonna come back. Interesting. I really want to see some, cuz if my when I think about what would the easiest way be to create a shot like that, it would be to actually make the miniatures, film them, and then composite like the breaking effects in animation over top of it. Like that seems like the simplest and easiest way for me to do that kind of shot, rather than trying to build all of that in 3D software. Like, that's one of those situations where it's like, it would be easier to just build the miniatures, right? I want to know who made those fucking lighting rig models, because they're cool. Anyway, sorry, I just neuron activated. 3, 2, 1, go. The music quoting Golden like that. Drive the knife. Nice use of the staging here, too. Okay, but connect this back to the broader themes of the movie, would you? Because, like that, the fickleness, right? Three, two, one, pause. So again, like the fickleness, right? Like they were on top. One thing happens, right? Everything falls apart. That precarity, again, is like that's a feature like that's been written about. Like again, not just in K-pop, but like in pop music in general. Like this unhealthy and obsessive chasing of the top spot, right? And the way that people can be discarded and thrown aside the moment that they're not like pumping out hit after hit after hit after hit, because the dream factory is a machine, right? Like it's a machine that runs on constant success, and if people have to be chewed up and spat out in order for like the human beings are devalued in favor of the brands, that's part of the economic rationale of the boy band group, of the of like the idol group, right? Is that rather than the person, the people who are in the group being the brand, it is the group itself, where the members can be fungible. You can change them out. Maybe not all at once, maybe not too obviously, but so long as you can just keep cycling members in and out at a steady clip and get the audience used to the idea that the group is the thing, the IP is the thing, and the people that are in it are like, they're interchangeable. They can go have solo careers or whatever, but keep buying the merch for the brand. Like that's from the perspective of industry, that's very convenient, right? Like that's a lot nicer than having to deal with the mess of trying to, manage people, human beings that are complex and might have artistic ideas or want to do things with their lives other than work, right? That's part of the rationale for the pop group, right? Like the constructed pop group, which is like a staple in K-pop, but certainly present pretty much in the music industry the world over. Like Japan has idol groups that work this way, a lot of them. And that's where, like, the fickleness, right? Like, this idea of if you're not on top, then you're trash, right? That seems to point back towards this idea of, like, oh, well, yeah, shame is like the devil talking, quite literally, right? Shame is the demons creeping into your ear. Shame is. And I'm sort of. I wonder if the movie is going to try to connect those things at all. Because it doesn't feel like it's doing that at this moment, which is like, it feels like a wasted opportunity. I guess we'll see. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, nature imagery. Very good. Hey, new powers. Fucking Urukai. La da 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 da. Again, the lion pride thing, especially, is an interesting bit of imagery. Give us a villain song. Very well placed use of the harmonies. Slurping noises. Here comes the decision point. Oh, we're doing tragedy, are we? You did. Aha! Called it! Bankai! If this had been the KDA movie, it would definitely have been an Infinity Edge. Oh, knew it. Newest said, this makes straight people experience how queer baiting feels. That's very funny. Oh, hey, all the Saja Boys merch also went away. Oh, no, it's still there. Okay. Yeah, there is that thing of like, hey, did they just murder 5 dudes on stage? Like, where did they go after the concert? Yeah, this movie has a thing with that. Ah, back on the grind set, I see. They're gonna sell so much fucking merch of that tiger. Okay, so clearly the movie is not really interested in engaging with the music industry. It's more of just a backdrop. It's a backdrop to what the movie actually is doing, right? Like, the movie primarily is about self-acceptance, right? Like, dealing with personal shame, which is a bit of a pity. Like, it'd be nice if it had engaged with its premise a little bit more. And there's definitely parts of the movie that feel truncated. Especially the relationship with Celestine feels truncated. Like, it feels like there was supposed to be a lot more there with Rumi. We really don't get a lot of the two of them interacting. Like, the perhaps toxic nature of the way that Celestine is willing to accept her, or rather, the way that she is... Celine, whatever. The way that she's willing or unwilling to accept her. And that's a bit of a pity, because, like, that's sort of the climax of the movie, right? Is, like, Rumi deciding that self-acceptance is more important, right? Like, to form a new paradigm rather than being obsessed with outside acceptance, right? And it feels like Celine needed a few more scenes with Rumi to really establish what that means in the context of the film. Yeah, it's like Celine presumably has inherited, like, her views from hunters who have inherited them from hunters who have inherited them from hunters, and so on. Oh, cool, the voice actors. I wonder if the voice actors and the singers are the same. I should probably check that. Like, there's a whole bunch of things that feel where, again, the movie sort of gestures at them and says, oh yeah, those things are there. That's the thing of, like, this is what the movie's about. Where it feels like you could have gotten a lot more out of showing it rather than telling it, right? The backstory of Rumi, Celine, and her parents feel incomplete and rushed and confusing. Yeah, because it's the thing of, like a big emotional climax of the movie is this thing of, like, Rumi feels like she is a mistake, right? Okay, where did that come from, though, right? Like, that feels like a very specific thing, right? It's like Rumi is afraid that she is a mistake, right? And where did she get that? Like, who put that feeling into her? Like, did someone ever call her that? What happened in her childhood to make her feel that way? Again, the movie just sort of relies on us. She has the patterns, and therefore that she feels that way about herself. And it's like, oh, okay. Do we want to explore that? Do we want to dive into that a little bit more of, like the way that this mark is, like, this constant burden on her that she just doesn't feel like... Because, like, there's a lot you can do with, like, because the fundamental thing is, right, she has these markings, right, these scars, these flaws, these imperfections that she cannot show anyone, because if she does, she becomes unworthy of love, right? Like, that's the emotional heart of that, is if I ever let anyone see that I'm not perfect, then I will not be worthy of love. I will not have a family. I will not have friends. And that's the thing that unites all three members of Huntrix, is that they all have this thing of, like, if I am not perfect all the time, I lose my right to a family, right? Like, I lose my right to be accepted, to be loved at all. And there is, like, there's a lot more room to explore those things as components of the narrative. And it sort of all gets it all gets placed on Rumi, and then the movie focuses very heavily on the romance with Jinu, right? Which is probably, for the purposes of a movie, the more solid thing to pursue. But it does come at the cost that there's very little room given to exploring the emotional interiority of the two others, for one thing. And also to really, like, the emotional climax of the movie is Rumi accepts herself, right? She accepts herself and her scars, and she accepts the reality of herself, and in so doing, she undoes shame, right? Self-acceptance is the antidote to shame. Is that seems to be what the movie is pushing at, right? And because she's able to accept herself, because she's able to like stand up proudly and show herself as she is, that's what gives Jinu his soul back. Like that's the thing that gives him the power to sacrifice himself truly, and in so doing, redeem the fact that he left his family, right? Like sort of, he makes the choice now that he couldn't do back then to sacrifice himself for the sake of others, right? Or certainly that he feels that he didn't do. But that means that Rumi's insecurities, like Rumi's self-hate, Rumi's shame, those markings, what they mean to her, that is the central thing, right? Like that is the central emotional circumference of the movie. And it kind of seems to center a lot on Celine, because that's the person that she has the confrontation with, right? Like she has that confrontation with Celine at the end, where she very loudly rejects her, right? Like rejects Celine's perspective on things. But we don't have the relationship with Celine. Like that's not in the movie anywhere. It's just all, she's like this. She's over there. We're not gonna have a scene. We're not gonna talk to her. We're not gonna hear her perspective. We're not gonna see things the way that she does. We're not gonna dive into the feelings that she has about Rumi after like they lost Rumi's mother. Like, because there's definitely some interesting nuance there. Because no matter how Celine feels about Rumi, she still made Rumi a demon hunter, right? So it's not like a thing of like, oh, she's just a shameful thing that needs to be hidden away. Like, no, she put her up on stage in front of everyone, but not with full acceptance, right? Like that's an emotionally interesting space. That's an interesting person. Like that Celine seems to have this, both this inability to fully accept Rumi, but also a desire nonetheless to try and push Rumi to like overcome, right? That's interesting. Like that feels like a very interesting emotional space to explore, right? Like this thing of having a mother figure who's like ambitious and who's pushing you to perform all the time, and if you can't perform, then you feel like you're going to lose her love. But where does that come from inside of her head, right? Like what was the thing that where she feels like this is the only thing I can do to honor the memory of her mother? Like that feels underexplored pretty badly. And it means that the final confrontation between Rumi and Celine, it doesn't hit nearly as hard as it could if more time and focus had been spent on that, at the cost of other scenes, right? Like at the cost probably of some of the romance subplot with Jinu, right? At the cost of, there's always trade-offs in movie making, and you can't make a 487-hour movie to cover everything. You always have to leave something out. But I do think it's structurally a bit of a problem for the movie that it never deals with the relationship with Celine, when the relationship with Celine is so central to the emotional arc of the central character, right? And that's another thing that contributes to this feeling of the movie being kind of truncated, right? Rushing a little bit, being cut down. I would not be surprised to learn that Netflix asked, or maybe not even Netflix, it could just be a budget thing. It could literally just be that they were making this movie, they ran out of money to make it as much as they wanted to. Like, licensing all of that music, getting all of those musicians in there, that's fucking expensive. It could just be they ran out of money. It could just be they ran out of budget. Like, it could be anything. It is not necessarily Netflix stepping in and fucking up, although if anyone is to blame for any of the problems that this movie has, bet on the corporate. Like, just pretty safe bet to say that it was probably the corporation that fucked it up for everyone. But there's definitely flaws here. Like, there are definitely places and times here where it feels less than it could have been. And I think that's part of why it became so popular, because there's clearly, like, there's potential here. There's clearly a lot more here to be said and explored, and that's what fan fiction is for, right? Um, that's why we have fan fiction in the first place, is to fill out the spaces that the actual thing won't do. And I think that incompleteness is part of the appeal of the movie, is because it allows a lot of space for the fans to play themselves, and hopefully they will. Do I recognize any of those names? I don't off the top of my head. Presumably they'll have cast singers. Interesting. I think that's part of the appeal of the movie, is that there are all these empty spaces for fandom to play in. But I definitely feel like it's not a film that lives up to its potential, unfortunately. It feels like a movie that either never quite got fully finished, or else a movie that a lot of pieces were carved out of. I'd be very interested to see if they, like, I don't know this. I don't know any of the behind the stage shit, but I would be, if they ever did do something like a director's cut, like if this movie was very cut down by the distributor, by Netflix, by like the whatever, if this is a case of the movie being cut down a lot, I would be very curious to see a director's cut of it. Right, like if we could get the Ridley Scott treatment, right, that would be cool. I doubt it. Probably not going to happen. But if we're very lucky, at least we'll get a sequel. Like, it seems to have done very well with the fandom, so that feels like the kind of thing that you'd want to capitalize on. I also feel like they intended to make it a series. I don't know about that. Like, they might have pitched it as a series at some point, but the production quality on display here, like the level of production that this whole movie has, they were not going to make a series. like at no point in the production of this thing would these scenes have been meant to be a series. And then, like, this is not like the Atlantis sequel that Disney made that was just kind of stitched together from 3 episodes of like a season of television that they never fully made. It's not like that. That's definitely not the case. But it definitely feels like I don't know that this was supposed to be a series, but I think it would have benefited from it. Like, it could have benefited from that extra breathing room. But really, like, just give the movie 20 more minutes to have a few more scenes with Celine, to have a few more scenes with, like, to expand on the other members of Huntrix, right? Like, their relationships. Because, like, we get the scene with the doctor early on somewhere here, right? Where, like, he sort of lays out the interior contradictions of the girls, right? Like, that she has a million walls around her. She doesn't open up to anyone or fully show herself, which the character design also emphasizes in this scene, which I think is lovely. And that this is a people pleaser, and this is someone with anger issues. We get to explore her issues, the two of them. It's just kind of like, you get to be there. You get to be present. And, like, I would have liked to see a little bit more of Mira and I hate names. I hate names so much. Another reason it should be another reason it should be a series is so I would have time to learn all the names. Is like, they are missing characterization relative to Rumi because there's only room for Rumi in this movie, right? And it's, yeah. Nothing here is bad, but a bunch of it is underdeveloped. And it feels a lot like it's cutting out of necessity, right? Like, it feels a lot like it's, oh, here's all these things, and there just isn't kind of time for them. It's, you know. Still, the fucking visual style of this film. There's a lot of interesting expressiveness. And there is some very good character design. I can see why this thing got big. I can see exactly why this thing got big. I can see why. Like, all of the potential is there. And again, I cannot understate how refreshing and nice it is to have a movie that has all these like hyper beautiful perfect characters and is willing to make them ugly sometimes, right? To let them look ugly a little bit. That's nice. Now, sure, it'd be nice if we could get some movies that also were willing to, fundamentally challenge beauty standards in character design, especially around women. That would be nice. Also, like, that's not this movie. This is a movie about K-pop stars. That was never gonna happen. But it'd be nice if there was some that were willing to try, give it a shot, That would be cool. Anyway, I liked this. This was fun. I guess on YouTube you can let me know in the comments if you want more reactions to whole entire movies. Because, oh boy, I could think of a few. There's a lot to like about this. There's a lot to like about it. And again, like, as I mentioned, it is still, like, I talked about it a lot at the start, but I really, really do like that even though they have to work within the strictures of, like traditional beauty standards, that nonetheless a bunch of care and attention was put into trying to make these characters distinct and unique from one another. In their morphology, the way that their heads are put together. I really do appreciate that. I think that's really good. Also, just, again, I cannot emphasize enough, there's so much good texture work in this fucking movie, too. There's so much good texture work. It's such an interesting sort of... Because it's not really emulating stop motion, right? Like, it's not really trying to look like it's a stop motion movie. A lot of 3D movies have sort of done this, like with, so we're emulating the look of stop motion. It's not really doing that, but it's also not doing that. It's doing this interesting mixture of the two. Like, playing around in a sort of between space of, like, miniatures and stop motion, and then really playing up a whole bunch of... Yeah. I think that's the thing I appreciate the most about this movie, is, like, it is a movie that, whatever else, fucking anime kick. This is fully a fucking anime kick. Like, this is a reference to that one shot. Like, you see it in fucking half of anime do this. I'm sure it's like a reference to a specific shot from Kamen Rider. Yeah, Kamen Rider. Because half of the iconic shots in anime are references to Kamen Rider. I also cannot get over the fucking prestige skins. I cannot get over it. Yeah, there's just a ton of good fucking animation happening in this movie. It's not Ghibli food. It looks like it's made of plastic, but it also makes me hungry. Yeah. I hope we get another one. And I hope Netflix sees their mistake and just goes, okay, make whatever the fuck you want, make it 5 hours long, we don't care. And then they get to make the full movie rather than the truncated nature of what this kind of feels like. because there is a lot to love here. Again, the fucking texture work. It's not just that the textures, like, they look like the kinds of textures you would get if you made a jean jacket for a puppet, right? If you made like a hoodie for a puppet for a stop motion movie, it looks like that little extra with the thickness of the fabric sort of scrunches up, and I wanna see some behind the scenes about the production design on this movie, because the way they handle like fashion and like assets and things, and again, fucking character design. Look at that. A wonderful variety of faces, and even some like skin tone variety, which is also nice to see. Yeah, like look at the way they render like the leather here on the girls, right? It does also play up the difference in that no one has a lot of texture on their faces, right? Like there's no such thing as pores on the skin of these people. But that's another thing that plays up. Like that's another thing that works with the doll, like the stop motion aesthetic of it, is that they look a little bit like they're made of plasticine, right? Like they look a little bit like those puppets, and so you get this contrast that you often also get in stop motion between like the perfect skin of like the puppet versus the dappled, physicality of the things that they wear and interact with. I really want to know something about the production design on this movie. I would love to talk to a production designer on it, how they made these decisions about rendering. What a fucking shot, by the like. Show someone this shot with no context whatsoever, and try and get them to guess what the movie is about. Because what the fuck, man? That's another thing I appreciate. Like, it has a certain surrealist humor to it. Like the little thing of like, where the fuck is the scene with the tiger? First of all, fucking love that cat, but that's such a good gag. That it like almost does it, and it keeps trying. It's such a good gag that it does that, and then it does it with a waste paper basket later. I fucking love that tiger. Give the tiger a movie. Give the tiger like a whole season of television. Just the tiger. Fuck it. Like the tiger and the bird. That's what I want. Who cares about the characters? Give me these little fucking critters. Another thing that feels a little underexplored, right? Who are these things? What is the tiger's relationship to Gino? Like, Gino says he made the hat for the tiger, so clearly they're like his familiars. Where did they come from? What do they represent? I don't know, man. They're just kind of there without really connecting. Sort of like, it's the animal mascot problem that you saw in like golden era, like Renaissance era Disney, right? Like where you had the fucking gargoyles in the like the bell in Notre Dame, Hunchback of Notre Dame, and like the animal companions in Pocahontas and things like that, where they're just kind of there to be wonderful and fun and iconic, but they don't really get any presence in the narrative. Kind of feel the same way about these guys. It feels like there was supposed to be a story there. But anyway, right, like I could probably keep talking about this for 100 million years, but I should probably stop. And like, comment, subscribe. And if you want early access, become a member. That'll also get you onto the Discord so you can watch these things with me occasionally. If that's the thing you want, you can do that. I have a Patreon, things like that, etc., etc. Goodbye.